Welcome to Zarnia for Games and Geekery.
I'm Adhil.
I'm Jon.
We, today, are playing Patchwork.
Patchwork, indeed. In fact, we have played Patchwork, and that's why we're going to review it. I think you'll find. Anyway, I'm just in a very corrective mood, just discipline this guy.
He's just had some corrective surgery.
He's just... Alright, speaking of surgery and knitting things together and sewing them together with a needle, we've got a game called Patchwork here. Patchwork is by your fave, isn't it?
He is my fave.
Who?
Uwe Rosenberg, my favorite dude. While we're talking about my favorites, my favorite game of all time is A Feast for Odin. And while he was making that game, which took him about 3 years, part of the mechanic of that game was a little puzzle element. And in creating that puzzle element, he actually made this entire game, which was then released before Feast for Odin came out. And it's become immensely popular. It's a 2-player game only. In it, you're essentially using all of these little pieces of cloth, actually cardboard. You're going to put them onto your board and you're going to try and build up your quilt. And the interesting thing of this game was that your currency, what you pay for pieces with, are these buttons. These cute little buttons.
All right, and building up the patchworks of the quilt actually is part of forming your economy.
Yeah.
You got to choose pieces that not just fit, but also will be able to generate buttons so you can buy more fabric.
And as your piece moves along, you apart from paying buttons, you're also going to pay time. And as you pay time, you move along this track. And when you cross one of these buttons on the board, you're going to then take button income.
So which of us plays the peg?
No, the peg is there to indicate which of the tiles you're able to take. So during your turn, you would take one of the next 3 tiles that are next to the peg, and then the peg moves along in a clockwise fashion.
Okay, so it's a little counter, like 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Bada-bang.
That's the tile that you would take.
I would take that tile. If I wanted to, or I could just go 1. It gives me 3 options, basically. Like, I saw this spiral board and I thought this is a race game. You know, it's whoever gets to the center first or something. But that's not how it works, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, right? So you sort of want to take the pieces that don't push you too far down the track. So you want to put down as many pieces as you can onto your board so that you can fill out the board completely before you get to the end of the track. Because when you get to the end, that's the end of your game and you can't place any more pieces.
And then whatever you have left uncovered becomes a negative against your point score.
Correct, you lose 2 points for every space that you've got left, and then any buttons you've got left over, those count towards your points.
Okay, so it's all about the buttons, baby.
It is all about the buttons.
Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
I concentrated too hard on just filling up the board. I didn't actually keep track of how many buttons I had. At the end of the game, you had a big stockpile of buttons, even though you had a lot of negative space, so you lost a lot of points.
Yeah.
But that brought you equal to the number of buttons that I had.
Except for the fact that you had the 7x7, which meant that you had reached a continuous 7x7 quilt before I did.
It was very sneaky of me. That was my whole goal. I didn't realize how crucial just 7 extra buttons were going to be to my victory, because honestly, I thought I was wiping the floor with you. I really thought I was just humiliating you, just beating you so badly that you would feel like a deep shame deep into your soul that you would never recover from, and just be haunted by nightmares, waking up, PTSD from like the savage, brutal defeat at my hands of quilting. But that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. It's close. So what did you like about the game, Jon?
What I liked about the game was I like the bright colors. I'm gonna be real. I like the cute patterns and things, and I like the strange, the spatial nature of the puzzle that's posed. But also, I found myself very challenged by the strategic thinking of the cost, the income, and the moving around the board. It was it's just the right kind of like a challenge for me. Like, I'm not. You know me, I'm not like the big brain, like multiple economies going on. I like to have a couple of elements in like a very nice, neat little strategy.
Yeah, I found it quite compelling, and it is quite a quick game. It's only for 2 players, so you might only play it for 20 or 30 minutes. The challenge is really in trying to puzzle out which pieces are coming, which ones you can still fit in, and there is this sort of dichotomy between tiles that might fit but might not add to your income versus others that you might have to pay quite a lot for, but actually they give you quite a big bump to your income.
The other thing I noticed that despite it's not being a race game, there's no real way to mess around with your opponent. You can try take one of the tiles that would benefit them, but then you have to deal with it, and that's worse.
Yeah.
There are very few ways.
And given that you can take any of the 3 tiles next to the peg each time, it's difficult for you to block every move that your opponent might be able to take.
Yeah. So in that kind of sense that it's not too competitive, it's challenging, it's fun and spatial, and it's pretty quick. I think this is a really great kind of low tension game. You know, you don't even mind that I virtually decimated you, just humiliated you, and just really made you see the despair as the joy of life was just leaving your eyes.
Well, part of what makes it all worth it is that at the end of the game, you feel like you've built something. You've made a quilt, you've made something that's unique. You're never going to see exactly that combination of tiles again, because there are just so many different shapes and sizes. And speaking of the variety, they also have come out with a number of different versions of Patchwork now. Most recently, they created a Halloween version. They've also created a few others that come with slightly different tiles and play slightly differently.
So really this is a good introduction to a whole genre of games. So if you like this one, there are more out there for you to enjoy and love. As you were saying, what's great about this game is at the end you've made yourself something. You've made this lovely, warm, fuzzy blanket, so that even if you do lose and there are a couple of holes in your blanket, you can still just put that around your shoulders and just hold yourself. Hold yourself warm against the cold, dark world in which you were defeated by Jon. Just really brutally destroyed. So anyway, like, share, and subscribe.
That was Patchwork from Uwe Rosenberg. Thanks for watching.
Let us know about your humiliation and terrible defeats, or your glorious victories that you inflicted on someone else and didn't feel too bad about afterwards, but still like to rub it in.
I'm gonna go off and wrap myself in a blanket.
Aw, wasn't that bad, buddy.